In this video, I'm going to break down the differences between vectorizing and upscaling your AI-generated images, showing you when to use each method and how to maximize quality for your print-on-demand products. Okay, first of all, let's clear the questions: what is vectorizing and what is upscaling? Well, vectorizing means you convert the graphic that you get from the AI art generator in a vector graphic. That means it's not in a pixel format anymore, but it's basically a mathematical file that then creates the graphic. An upscaler, on the other hand, uses special algorithms or an AI to add new pixels and to improve the image's sharpness, so that it still looks clear and detailed even after being enlarged. Okay, now why should you even vectorize or upscale an AI-generated image? Well, it's because the resolution that you will get from most AI art generators is about 1024 by 1024, so it's only a megapixel, and this resolution is not enough to get a quality print. On Amazon Merch, for example, we need a resolution of about 5 megapixel. So we need to get to that resolution, otherwise the printed design would be very blurry and you definitely don't want to sell that. So you will either have to vectorize or upscale the image that you get out of the AI art generator. Okay, now let's talk about when to upscale your image and when to vectorize your image. Now there are pros and cons for both options. First, let's talk about vectorizing. The pros of vectorizing are clearly that you will get an unlimited scalability without the loss of quality. So the image result will be very sharp, with very sharp edges, and you won't have any half transparencies. And that's a good point, because we don't need that in print on demand, because half transparencies can't be printed right. Now the cons of vectorizing: it's basically more work, because you have to edit each SVG file on its own. And after vectorizing, you still have to convert the SVG file that you get from vectorizing into a PNG pixel file. Another con is that it doesn't work good on any types of graphics. It works best on graphics that have no gradients and are not too detailed, because if the image would be too detailed, there's a possible loss of these details after vectorizing. Now let me show you an example for vectorizing. Okay, now here's an example that I created in Flux 1. It's in this Japanese Great Wave style, and you may have seen designs like this on Amazon. For example, this one. Here you can see the cat on the left, and this design with the sloth in the middle is my version of it. Okay, now let's vectorize my image. For this demonstration I used a free SVG converter or free vectorizer. It's called svgconverter.app, so you can just use it by drag and dropping your image right here. You can adjust the settings on the right, but we leave it like that, and click vectorize. Now it's processing. Okay, it's done. And as you can see, it did a quite good job. Now when you look at the details, these dots of the wave are more simplified in the vectorized version. And when you look at the fur, the gradient is much more simplified when you compare it against the original file. You can also see that on the sun right here, and we lost a bit of detail right here on the sun. And you can see how it converted the gradient right here when you compare it against the original. But overall, this is quite a good conversion. And again, you can use this app completely free. Now let's vectorize another image. Now this design would be even more suitable for this vector conversion, because it already has this vector style. You can see it on the weights right here, that it already has this gradient in a vector style. You can also see it on the words. Okay, let's click vectorize. And by the way, the button to vectorize is on the down right corner. You can't see it because of me. So let's click vectorize. Okay, here we go. And it basically looks really good. Well, now if you compare the shadow in the original file with the vectorized result, you can see that it really had a hard time converting it. But when you edit this file, you can easily just remove these parts of the shadow. This also applies to the shadow parts on the down right font right here. Now let's zoom in to the eye of the T-Rex. Now when we zoom in, you can clearly see the difference between the original file and the vector file. That's a pixelated version from the AI art generator, and this is the vector file. Basically it analyzes the PNG and makes shapes and curves out of it. And that's exactly what gives us unlimited scalability. Now when should you upscale your image? The pros of upscaling are that it works on any types of graphics, and it's also easy to do in bulk. That means if you have a large amount of designs that you need to edit, it's easier to upscale than to vectorize these images. Now the cons of upscaling? Well, depending on the graphic, the quality could be lower than by vectorizing, and the file sizes could be bigger than when you vectorize the image. Another con is that the edges of the design could be worse than when vectorizing the image. And that's because of the method on how we remove the background. Now let me give you a quick example of upscaling. Now for this demo I used the app that's called Upscale, and you can get it completely free at upscale.org. It's an app that you download and install on your computer. Now this app is very simple. You can select the image in the first step, or you can just drag and drop the image right here. In step 2 you select the model. Let's leave it on digital art. You can select the image scale right here. Now it says 6 times. Let's leave it like that. Then on step 3 you can select the image path, and then on step 4 you just click upscale. So let's upscale our slough, and you can already see this is our starting resolution, and this is the resolution that we get after upscaling. So let's click upscale, and it's already working quite fast. Okay, it's done. And as I see it in my files, the original file is about 1.4 megabytes big, and the upscaled image is about 26.4 megabytes. So it got very large. Now if you want to shrink these images without loss of quality, I also have a video about that on my channel. Now let's check the result. You can already check that in the Upscale app, which is quite nice. So when we use the mouse over right here, you can see that the slough is very pixelated on the left. That's the original image, and it's sharp and detailed on the right. And that's exactly what we want for our designs. So let's check the wave right here. And you can clearly see that it's very blurry on the left, and we got these sharp details on the right. What's also interesting is this gradient right here from the sun. As you can see, it's very grainy on the original file, and the upscaled version is very sharp. And that's definitely a good thing about upscaling, that we keep the details on the gradients. You can also see it on this detail of the sun, that there are no two different parts of the sun like in the vectorized image. Now let's upscale this design. And before upscaling, I like to remove the background first. So here we are, this is the version without the background. Let's just drag and drop the image right here. And there we go. Click upscale, and it's quite fast. Processing the image, and here we go. Yeah, we also get a quite good result. We also went from blurry to very sharp, and that's exactly what we want. Now one downside of upscaling is the fact that the edges of the design could be a bit blurry, like you see in this example. When you vectorize the designs, the edges are really sharp, but this is just a minor detail, and I think it's not a problem when printing. Now here's how I personally handle it. I rarely vectorize an image. Well, here's my workflow. I generate the image with the AI art generator, then I first remove the background, and then I upscale it. I've done various tests, and I get the best results when I first remove the background and then upscale it. I know there are a lot of sellers that first upscale the image and then remove the background, but when I tested it, I got the best results when I do it in my order. What's also a great argument for upscaling is the fact that you can do it in bulk. That means you can just put in hundreds and hundreds of images into your upscaler, click upscale, and let the software do the rest. A good free upscaler is the app that I just showed you, and a good paid option would be Topaz Gigapixel. Now if you want to learn how to create these amazing designs that I just showed you in the video, then just click this link right here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more great AI tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.